All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my first review for the prequel series, the next series for Game of Thrones on HBO. This one is going to be for Episode 1, Season 1, House of the Dragon, the Heirs of the Dragon. Alright, dudes, so I definitely wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts on the premiere for the new Game of Thrones series now that it has aired. It just premiered on the 21st of August, 2022. So this one is a long time coming to get to see this next series in the Game of Thrones franchise on HBO. I still think it's probably the best current franchise that HBO has. Compared to everything else. I mean, HBO has had lots of great stuff, Sopranos and Wire, and a lot of different series that they've had over the years. But I think Game of Thrones is the best universe they have. I think Westeros and Game of Thrones is the best universe that the HBO's got. And so I'm very happy to see this premiere for this kind of prequel series version next series in Game of Thrones. We'll see how many seasons it gets. I don't think they've said yet how many seasons it's going to be, but I think this one's going to be a hit for sure. I watched the first episode through. It's a bit long. It's like an extended episode. It's not like just one episode. It's more like a movie almost. But it's a movie, but it's clearly the first movie in a series. If you're going to see, if you're going to consider this home box office HBO. That's what HBO stands for, if you're not aware. So home box office, and it is movie quality. It's really, really great. This one starts off a lot different from how Game of Thrones originally started off. Game of Thrones originally, with the original series, starts off with a very, as Peter Dinklage said, very kind of grounded, character, human drama. And it didn't really bring in the fantastical elements right away. It took them a little while in Game of Thrones to start to bring in the more fantastical elements of the universe, such as the Daenerys and her dragons, and everything that they brought in later on, which was just spectacle by the end. Right, you get to see White Walkers and just all kinds of different things. But they really started in the original series with a very limited, fantasy aspect of it, fantasy element of it. With this series kickoff first episode, they go the opposite direction as far as that's concerned. They know what they are. They know what it is. They know the people who are watching this have probably all pretty much seen the original Game of Thrones series. Everybody seeing this has seen the finale, I think, for Game of Thrones, or at least is aware, understanding what they're getting into. So they go right into the fantasy right away. We get to see a bronze dragon right away with, it says young Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, and it's always cool to see. I always love to see the dragons. I'm a huge fan, always have been, of kind of different, fantasy series, Game of Thrones, before that, like Lord of the Rings, any different type fantasy video games. Warcraft 3 was one of my favorites growing up. You had World of Warcraft was huge. I think people still play it even now, right? So you get to see the dragon, the bronze dragon, really cool. And this one is called House of the Dragon. So whereas in the original series we focused at least to some degree on the Starks, I felt like in the original Game of Thrones series, the Stark family, Winterfell, kind of feels like the home sort of location for the series, at least from my perspective, watching it from the first episode, the first season, at least to begin with the series. It feels like a kind of a House of Stark type of series. Now, obviously, later on, it kind of transitions. We find out some stuff about Jon Snow, which I won't really ruin here if maybe you haven't seen it all the way through or something. You guys who've seen it, there's a transition there from Starks to others. But with this series here, we kind of get a different feel because it is it's a series based around the Targaryen House of Targaryen, so it's different. And as such, it's going to be different from the original Game of Thrones series where he focused on the Starks. These are different houses, they're different families, they have different family values. The Starks are, with Eddard at the beginning, very much about honor, very much about, family values, all that kind of stuff. And with the Targaryens, we see completely different, type of inter-family relations here in and amongst them, in that we have King Viserys Targaryen, who kind of comes across as a very relaxed sort of king in Game of Thrones. Somebody who's kind of he seems very chill. He doesn't seem easy to excite. He seems like he has a very good temperament. But then you have Matt Smith, who plays Prince Daemon Targaryen, which I like the like demon, right? Daemon. And he is, right? And I think he's probably the standout character for the series, at least from the first episode. For me anyway, as I'm watching it through, I'm like, whoa, very, very cool. First of all, I want to say he has the coolest armor of any character I think I've ever seen in Game of Thrones. The black dragon armor is really amazing to see. When he's fighting and everything, it's really, really cool. It's just he comes across, but this is kind of an opposite to Jon Snow, or an opposite to an Eddard. This is, if he is going to be kind of the lead for the series, you sort of have a Batman to Joker offset here, in that he would be the Joker. He would be the antagonist. So and there are series nowadays, there's lots of series that are based on an antagonist as a lead. For me anyway, from the first episode, he kind of stands out as the lead character for it. But we know that from the original series, they really like to play games with people who think there's a lead. It's a very ensemble type of universe. So if you think that Eddard is going to be the lead for the series, and you see the first season play through, and they swerve you, right? So just because someone seems to be a spotlight character or focus of attention to start things off, it doesn't mean that character is going to be there. But you see some huge tensions start to rise between Viserys and Daemon. Daemon's probably my favorite character. He's definitely not a good guy. He's like banging prostitutes and stuff. And the first episode is called The Heirs of the Dragon. So it's like, who's going to be the heir. And it's a bit tragic in the middle, because you have Viserys, and spoilers for this part, loses his wife and son during childbirth. So it's kind of tragic in that way. And almost right away afterwards, Daemon is like, kind of bragging and such, and, kind of setting himself up that it's kind of obvious that it will be him. So just a really great, in terms of drama, a really great start for this first episode. A lot of it, and then just a different feel than what we're used to for the original series. So it's a great combination. It's familiar enough that this is Westeros, this is the Game of Thrones universe. You can tell it is right away. And it, even looks like the original series and everything. Looks great and everything. But at the same time, it's different enough because you have a totally different cast of characters. You have a totally different, house that you're following through, at least to start with. And so it's, I think, an incredible beginning, an incredible first episode. My expectations for this series are not that high. I'm more really want to see that sequel series, the Jon Snow sequel series, which has already been confirmed that HBO is going to be doing a Jon Snow spinoff. So very excited to see that. Can't wait to see that eventually when they get that done. But that could be a ways away at this point. But this one did surprise me in the first episode. I thought it was great. Some great drama build up in and amongst the house itself, and in between them, and what's going to happen, and will Daemon try to take the throne for himself, in that he has basically been cast out by Viserys in favor of Rhaenyra. So that's most of what I want to say for the first episode. First impressions, it left a great impression on me because my expectations were not very high. I'm going to give the episode a 9 out of 10. Familiar enough, but yet quite different because of the focus point being on a totally different family, which has completely different values than what we're used to from the Starks. The different fight scenes and everything are pretty cool, and the dragons are always fun to see, and so this should be a cool series, and we're going to get to see more of that than at least we did in the first season or two of the original Game of Thrones series. Maybe not more than we saw in the final season, which with Daenerys and everything, but yeah, it's good. So 172 years before, and prequel, right? And so we kind of know how things sort of will end off, but it is definitely engaging to see it play through. So that's my review for the first episode. I loved it. I was actually very impressed. I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, and want to see what happens with Daemon, because he is a really cool, kind of fearsome bad guy, and he's like, lopping people's heads off and like having them delivered, dismembering people and having them delivered and stuff. Pretty brutal stuff, but yeah, really good, really good. So if you got a chance to see House of the Dragon, comments below. What did you think about it? How did you feel about it versus Game of Thrones? Feel the series, and is there anybody out there who was disappointed by it, who like was waiting for it, saw it, and then thought, this isn't really that good? I thought it was a great start. I mean, it's just the first episode, but it's extended, and I thought it was a really, really great start to see things kind of, begin for what they're doing with this one. So we'll see what it ends up being. One season, multiple seasons. So far, I'm thinking like, yeah, if they want to do it, this could be good for a while. They could do at least a few years of this, I think. Anyway, thumbs up below, subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another. Trev, saying peace later, guys. See you soon.